Hello, and welcome to another episode of Enough Said. I'm your host, Cedric Newburn, and I'm excited to talk to you today about something again that came across my life. Let's just say I started out with some questions and some concerns about what was next for me in my career. When we decided to sell the agency, I was in the process of selling that agency. And I sat down with some friends to just talk through what was next. What was I going to do once this agency sale went through? And the conversation about multiple income streams came up. And it was quite interesting because of the perspective of one of the persons sitting at the table with me that day. So this gentleman goes on as I'm talking through what I was doing, what my thoughts were, what I had in mind for my next. This gentleman looks at me and says, "Well, right now you're an insurance agent, which is your primary source of income, but you've also written some books, so you're an author and you sell those books. You've used those books to speak on relationships and forgiveness, and you also speak sometimes as well on business topics and so forth. So you're a speaker. I also, at that time, was engaged in doing a little more consulting work and coaching people. And so he brought that up as a fourth job that I had. And then last but not least, he talked about me being a DJ and how I was promoting my DJ business and going around trying to land gigs to DJ. And he looks at me and says, "That's five things that you're doing. Five. And I'm here to tell you that you really can't be successful at any of them because you're not focused on one of them." And he says, "You're just not going to be good enough to really and truly build something unless you can narrow down what it is you really want to do." And this gentleman was a friend of mine, and I knew his heart. I knew where he was coming from. And in many ways, I understood what he was attempting to say to me. But if you've listened to my other podcasts, and you know that the one thing that really grinds my axe, that really gets under my skin, is someone telling me that I can't do something. And I sat there for a moment and I thought about what he said. And I said to him, the interesting thing about this is that I'm doing things that I love to do. And I just so happen to get paid to do them. And I went on to share with him how he, in fact, had five streams of income, all of which were exactly parallel to what I was doing, except for his primary business income. And I looked at him and I said, "So does this mean that it's okay for you to have multiple streams of income and enjoy what you're doing and get paid at it, but it's not okay for me?" And that made him pause. And he had to stop and think about what he was truly saying to me. Now, again, I know his heart. His concern was I was stressed, I was worried, I really didn't have a game plan per se, and this agency sale was on it was moving fastly down the track. And he was concerned that I was spreading myself too thin. And I had also shared with him some mental health challenges that I had had. So he was definitely concerned that maybe, just maybe, the stress of it all could be my breaking point. But I remember that conversation to this day. And the reason I wanted to do this podcast is because within the last 7 days, I've had four conversations with students on campus with this same concern that they are being narrowed down to one singular path of income. And they, much like most young people their age, would like to do things a little different than we did as baby boomers and Generation X. So I did a little bit of research, as I always try to do before I jump on these podcasts, because I want to have some facts to back up what I believe to be true. And the fact is, Richard Corley, the author of Rich Habits, The Daily Success Habits of Wealthy Individuals, he analyzed IRS data and found that 75% of millionaires had multiple income streams. And if you really think about it, Having multiple income streams allows you to do a lot of different things, right? Number one, you can pay off debt because who does not have debt? So you've got additional income that's not taking away from your day-to-day activity, the paying the bills, the keeping the lights on. You're able to pay off debt, pay down debt. You're also able to put money aside for retirement. You're able to put money aside also for college tuition if you have children. And in many ways, this allows you to really and truly build wealth because you can also invest in property and other things, or even invest in other businesses. Now, relying solely on one single job definitely gives us the stability that we need, the security that we need. And again, for our generation, Gen X and baby boomers, we were told that you should go to school, get an education, get a good job, work your way up until you're comfortable. And then you can retire and enjoy the rest of your life with the money that you saved with that job. But the reality is twofold. Number one, the stability that we once had in our jobs is not there. We become a percentage in an Excel spreadsheet and we lose our livelihoods because someone needed to increase profits by a percentage. And entire families, entire communities are wiped out because they reduce that cost, that expense, which is a person or a team. We also know that wages have not kept up with, unfortunately, the cost of living. And so by staying in one job, absolutely, you get very small incremental raises along the way. But your debt and your expenses outpace the amount of income you bring home. And so it's very difficult for you to create wealth, to pay off bills. In fact, you tend to create more. I know, I've mastered it. So here's an interesting thing too. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. 7. Now, the gentleman that I was talking with, he was not a millionaire, but he, in fact, had 5 streams of income like myself. And I am definitely working on adding a couple more so that I can cross that millionaire. I'm a thousandaire right now, but I love to cross that millionaire mark. Now, I made a point of saying that Gen X and baby boomers handle things a little bit differently. Our millennials, Gen Z, the younger generation understand this principle of building wealth by having multiple streams of income. In fact, over 2 in 5 or 43% of millennials, those are young people between the ages of 13 and 39, report that they already have more than one stream of income. Now, the fact is, as I said before, the cost of living in many cases requires that. Gone are the days that you can get a decent apartment in a great neighborhood, have a car, and still be able to have money to go out and travel and do some of the other things that young adults like to do. Now, when you get married, have children, that adds additional expenses to the equation. And so it is very difficult to manage off of one income. Now, again, if you a quick Google search will tell you some ways to create passive income. And number one is affiliate marketing. We all have seen that where you're able to generate some income by doing things online. A lot of people have gone down that route of being influencers and so forth. But drop shipment, that's one where, again, I encourage you to take a look at it. In fact, one of the young people that I spoke with this week, that's what he has done. He actually had already set up a shop, just did not have the time to really market it and grow it, but he wants to focus on that again now that he's getting close to graduation. But drop shipping is definitely something that young people have found to be very successful to generate income. Selling digital products, creating and selling online courses, blogging, creating a YouTube channel, and even podcasting. And last but not least is offering virtual assistant services. Again, in this global economy that we have, you've got people that are working remote. You have the ability to help support businesses with your creative talents. Now, again, I'm not telling you to go out and jeopardize your main source of income. Do not, and I repeat, do not sit on your day job working your side hustle. That is not what I'm suggesting at all. But we all know that we have a lot of time on our hands. If you don't know, check your phone to see how much time you spend on it at nights and on the weekends. There is time that you can do things that would generate income. And the thing I tell people whenever they sit down with me about career counseling, career coaching, trying to figure out what it is that they want to do, I go back to what I said in that early meeting. Figure out the things that you love to do and find ways to make money while doing it. Now, for many, speaking is not your thing, but I love speaking. I love sharing ideas. I love being asked to come up with a topic or a workshop or a keynote to help guide people through an idea or a concept, motivate and inspire people. I love that with a passion. The research that goes into it, my practice of the cadence of how I'm going to deliver it to make sure that everything is on point. I enjoy that every second of it. And when I step off the stage, when I close the laptop on that workshop, I've delivered something that I've enjoyed and I get paid for doing it. As a DJ, I've always loved music. I love DJing from back in the 80s when I first figured out how to scratch on a turntable. Thank goodness my mother didn't realize that I had done that. But from that very first time, I caught the bug, especially when I stepped up to DJ for a party for the first time in college. Actually, technically, it was in high school before the first time I DJ'd, but knowing that I had the ability to create an energy, to get excitement, to have people really have a good time. Because again, if you know me, I have struggled with this whole people pleasing thing. But what better way to please people than to let them hear music? And so if I'm asked to DJ a birthday party, a wedding, or an event, anything like that, yes, it's exhausting. Yes, I'm getting older, so my back hurts for standing for so long. But when that night is over and I'm wrapping up cords to put them away and I'm lugging my speakers and my equipment back to the car, I have the biggest smile on my face as I'm driving home because I have had the time of my life watching other people enjoy the creativity and the art that I've been gifted with. And that is the ability to pick the right song, to go into the previous song, to keep the dance floor popping. And best of all, I get paid to do that. So I encourage you, think about the things that you enjoy doing. If you're someone that loves shopping, I can tell you as someone who hates to shop, I would love to have someone be a personal shopper. I might pay them a little money to do that. If you like decorating, you love finding knickknacks that can enhance the look and the feel and the mood in a space inside a home. Why not offer that as a service to other people to make some money on the side? My wife has a knack for being creative. She has actually gone to Goodwill and found furniture, stripped it down and painted it, changed out the hardware, and made it into a piece that people have offered to purchase from her. That could be an income source. So don't go at this thinking that it has to be some humongous idea that's going to be life-changing and that you're going to automatically be a millionaire. Because you'll hear me say this a lot. The majority of entrepreneurs are not millionaires. Most entrepreneurs are making money that gives them a comfortable living in the communities in which they live. So if your goal is to pay off some debt, have additional spending money, have money for vacation for your family, Find ways that you can make additional income and don't shy away from this idea of multiple income streams. And most importantly, never let others define your success. Just as I shared before in the story, people often will discourage you from creating your own vision of success, even when, or should I say, especially when it's what they want for themselves, or they have a fear of moving forward to do something like that for themselves. So, again, do not let others define success for you. Create your own vision of success and pursue it. And always remember that you are wonderfully made and created for a special purpose. So, again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Enough Said. You can find me on all social media platforms, as well as on YouTube and anywhere you stream your podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. And until next time, be blessed.